What if I told you the grind knows everything about you? That it's watching, silently judging, recording every skipped rep, every snoozed alarm, every excuse you whisper to yourself at 6 a.m.? The grind doesn't lie. It never has. It exposes you. It reveals your truth in the mirror, and in the results you either have or don't. It shows whether you've got it or you're faking it. You can trick your friends, post quotes on Instagram, talk about your big goals. But when it's just you and the grind, there's nowhere to hide. It calls your bluff. It reveals the difference between desire and discipline, between noise and action, between the guy who wants to win and the guy who has to win. The grind doesn't respond to what you say. It responds to what you do. If you've been slacking, it shows. If you've been locked in, it shows. The results will never betray the work. That's why most people hate the grind. It's brutally honest. It won't pamper you. It won't lie to you to protect your feelings. It doesn't care how much potential you have, how badly you want it, or what your past was like. It only responds to execution, cold, consistent execution. You can tell the world you're working hard, but the grind checks the data. It remembers when you took days off. It remembers when you cut corners, when you said later, when you cheated the reps, when you did 90% and pretended it was one. It also remembers when you stayed late, when you trained through pain, when you showed up broken but still moved the needle forward. The grind is a mirror that can't be distorted, and it's fair. That's the best part. It doesn't care about your background, your skin color, your connections, your excuses. It rewards everyone the same way. The problem is, most people can't handle that kind of justice. They want shortcuts. They want to skip the line. They want to look like they grind, but not actually grind. They want the status without the sacrifice. And the grind sees right through that. It punishes pretenders. It breaks the average. It destroys the weak. But for those who live by it, who bleed for it, it gives you everything. You either grind daily or get eaten by someone who does. That's the law. Somewhere out there, there's someone hungrier than you. He's not watching Netflix. He's not scrolling aimlessly. He's not having 3-hour mental health conversations to justify laziness. He's grinding. While you sleep, he's studying. While you relax, he's working. And when the time comes, he will take what you thought was yours. Because the grind doesn't care about feelings, only facts. And the fact is this: consistency beats talent when talent doesn't work. The ones who grind, they get the edge. They get the skills, the confidence, the power that can't be faked. You can't buy grit. You can't rent hunger. You either have it or you build it. Day by day, hour by hour, rep by rep. And if you don't, someone else will. This world doesn't wait for the lazy. It doesn't stop for the tired. It rewards the relentless. What if I told you the only thing standing between you and everything you ever wanted is the excuse you keep repeating in your head? That tiny voice that says, "Not today, I'm tired, I don't feel ready," that's the voice killing your potential. Excuses are the invisible chains wrapped around your ambition, tightening every time you believe one. The most dangerous part? They sound logical. They feel justified. But they're nothing more than self-imposed limitations. You look around and see winners, top performers, dominant minds, and you think they were born different. But they weren't. They just made a decision you still haven't made. They stopped listening to excuses and started acting in spite of them. They stopped negotiating with weakness. They stopped needing perfect conditions. Because life doesn't hand out rewards for intentions, it hands them out for execution. The scoreboard doesn't care why you didn't show up. The world doesn't owe you anything for trying. Either you deliver or you disappear. Excuses are seductive. They whisper comfort. They justify laziness. They protect your ego from the pain of failure. But they also guarantee mediocrity. Every time you say, "I'll start tomorrow," someone else starts today, and they get ahead. Every time you say, "I'm not feeling it," someone else ignores their feelings and pushes anyway. That gap adds up. One skipped day becomes a skipped week. A skipped week becomes a habit, and that habit becomes who you are. Excuses don't just slow you down. They rewrite your identity. You become the person who almost started, who meant well, who could have made it, and nobody respects that person, not even you. You can lie to others, blame your circumstances, blame your past, blame your pain, but deep down you know the truth. You know when you folded. You know when you played small. And that's the kind of weight that eats a man from the inside. Hard work doesn't care about how you feel. It doesn't wait for your mood to improve or your motivation to return. It just sits there, unchanging, daring you to rise. The truth is, your feelings are irrelevant. That's a hard pill to swallow in a world obsessed with comfort and validation. But the men who win in this world, the ones who actually conquer something, they don't consult their emotions. They act. They act when it's raining. They act when they're heartbroken. They act when they're broke, tired, rejected, abandoned. Because they know discipline doesn't ask questions. It just shows up. You want to build a body, a business, a legacy? It starts with doing what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. Most people think successful men are always motivated. They're not. They just do it anyway. That's the difference. You're waiting for the perfect wave of energy to hit. You're waiting for the right time. But that wave may never come. Winners don't wait for the wave. They become it. They force their body to move, and their mind follows. They've trained themselves to override weakness. That's not luck. It's not talent. It's raw mental discipline built through pain. Every time you choose discipline over emotion, you strengthen the warrior inside you. Every time you ignore the excuse and choose action, you create a version of yourself that's harder to kill. And every time you delay, every time you choose comfort, you build a softer, weaker version of you. That's the war you're fighting. You think you're just skipping a workout or pushing a deadline, but you're feeding the identity of either a killer or a coward. That's the real cost of excuses. They don't just steal your time. They steal your edge. They kill your hunger. They keep you average. And if you feed them long enough, they bury the part of you that could have become legendary. What if I told you that your dreams don't care how much you talk about them? That the universe doesn't respond to your vision boards, your affirmations, your late-night speeches in the mirror, but only to what you actually produce. The world doesn't reward intentions. It rewards outcomes, period. You can have the greatest plan, the best ideas, the strongest ambition, but if you don't execute, you don't exist. That's how cold the game is. No one will clap for you because you almost did it. No one will respect you because you were about to start. Results are the only language that power understands. When you walk into a room, people don't ask what you were planning to do. They look at what you've built. Show me the body. Show me the income. Show me the skill. If it's not real, it's irrelevant. That's why most people never make it. They fall in love with the idea of progress instead of the price of it. They think effort means something. It doesn't. Only results matter. Nobody remembers who trained the hardest in the gym. They remember who lifted the trophy. And here's the harsh truth. Your output doesn't care about your excuses, your pain, your emotions. You either did the work or you didn't. You either got the result or you didn't. It's that binary. The scoreboard of life doesn't count close calls. There are no moral points for trying. You're either a producer or a passenger. And if you're not producing, you're just watching someone else live the life you keep pretending you want. That's why so many people are angry. Not because the world is unfair, but because deep down, they know they've done nothing worth noticing. The market doesn't care about your story. It cares about your value. And value is created through output, through discipline, through hard, thankless work that compounds when no one's watching. That's the truth nobody wants to hear. But the ones who accept it, who stop hiding behind effort and start delivering real results, they're the ones who rise. You don't get what you want in life. You get what you've earned through the grind. That's the law. Life is a mirror, and it reflects what you've poured into it. You want power? Pay the price. You want freedom? Pay the price. You want respect? Build the results that command it. You're not entitled to anything. The world owes you nothing but consequence. You can be talented, intelligent, even hardworking. But if you're not relentless, if you're not consistent, if you don't produce, then you lose. End of story. You can cry about it, or you can do something about it. But don't expect the world to hand you a crown for being average. Kings are built through obsession, through blood, through silence. And every moment you're not working, someone else is. Someone else is building the empire you said you wanted. And one day you'll see him living the life you dreamed of, and realize he simply outworked you. This game only pays those who prove they can play it. And proof isn't in your thoughts, it's in your actions. It's not in your motivation, it's in your output. You can talk like a lion, post like a lion, dress like a lion, but if your numbers don't roar, nobody listens. You don't rise by declaring your potential. You rise by delivering undeniable results, again and again, until your name becomes a weapon, and your work speaks so loud no one can talk over it. Have you ever met someone who never talks about how hard they're working, but every time they show up, their presence says it all? That's the power of the grind. It doesn't need to be announced. It doesn't beg for attention. It doesn't scream, it whispers and still shakes the room. Talk is cheap. Everyone's talking. Everyone's sharing their plans, tweeting about success, posting screenshots of goals, pretending they're locked in. But when the lights are off and the crowd is gone, the grind tells the real story. It tells you who's all bark and who's built different, because the grind never lies. You can't fake discipline. You can't fake consistency. You can't fake the results that come from years of silence, sacrifice, and showing up when nobody was watching. The ones who truly grind don't need to tell you. They show you. Their aura is different. Their confidence is earned. Their movements are calculated. They don't talk to impress. They walk to dominate. Most people want to be seen grinding more than they actually want to grind. They want the aesthetic. They want the story, not the struggle. But success doesn't care about your image. It cares about your repetitions. You want to be a beast? Then act like one when no one's watching. Get under that bar when your body says no. Open that laptop when your mind says rest. Make the call. Do the work. Pay the toll. That's how winners are built, in the dark, without applause, without permission. They don't whine, they don't wait, they don't wish, they move, every single day, and eventually they walk into rooms where others are still begging for the opportunity to be noticed. That's what the grind does. It turns ghosts into legends. Every rep, every early morning, every moment you want to quit but don't, it all compounds. That's the secret nobody talks about. It's not one massive leap. It's micro wins, stacked daily, until you become untouchable. People look at success like it's some overnight moment. But success is a slow burn. It's forged in routine. It's born from boredom. The grind is repetitive. It's not glamorous. There's no soundtrack. No filters, just raw, unfiltered pressure. And that's exactly why most people fold. They want dopamine, not discipline. They want excitement, not endurance. But the ones who win are the ones who keep going when it's no longer fun. The ones who execute when motivation disappears. Because that's where the edge is. That's where greatness is born. The compound effect is ruthless. Every second you waste is a seed of regret planted. Every task you skip is a future opportunity lost. But every action you complete, no matter how small, is a seed of power. You may not see it now. You may feel like it's not working. But over time, those actions multiply. They become armor. They become your identity. And suddenly, while the world is still talking, you're winning. While they were seeking comfort, you were building endurance. While they were distracted, you became focused. The difference between you and them won't be seen today, but it will be undeniable in 6 months, in a year, in 5, because consistency has a delay. It's a delayed explosion. The world doesn't see it coming, but when it arrives, it's unstoppable. You don't need to be the smartest, the most talented, or the most connected. You just need to be the one who didn't stop, the one who kept hammering while everyone else got bored. You need to understand that the grind is slow warfare. It's death by 1,000 cuts for your enemies, and sometimes even for your weaker self. But you bleed forward, you suffer forward, and one day the silence you trained in will echo so loudly the world will have no choice but to pay attention. What if the pain you're avoiding is the very path to power you've been begging for? What if the suffering isn't the enemy but the test? See, people think life is supposed to be easy, that success should come with minimal discomfort, that happiness means avoiding pain. But that's a lie sold to keep you average. The truth is, the pain is the pathway. Pressure is the forge. And suffering is the sculptor of greatness. Every champion, every savage, every legend has walked through hell. Not once, repeatedly. They've embraced pain, welcomed pressure, endured isolation, and transformed it into fuel. Because pain isn't the problem, your weakness is. And pain is the only tool sharp enough to carve it out of you. Everyone wants power, but no one wants to bleed for it. They want the title, not the scars. But it's in those scars that your strength is born. Real growth doesn't come from success, it comes from pain. You grow in the failure. You evolve in the rejection. You become untouchable when you stop fearing what hurts and start using it to sharpen your edge. Avoiding pain is how the masses stay soft. They tap out at discomfort. They run at the first sign of challenge, and then they wonder why they never level up. You want a bigger life? You need a higher tolerance for pain. That's the cost. You can't be both comfortable and unstoppable. Choose. Pain is the toll you pay to walk the path most won't. And here's the twist. When you train yourself to embrace it, when you stop crying and start grinding, pain becomes your weapon. It becomes your signal that you're growing, that you're leveling up, that you're getting stronger while the rest of the world gets weaker. Most people spend their whole life running from pain and end up chasing failure. But if you flip the script, if you hunt discomfort, you become something else. You become the man who can't be broken, who doesn't fold, who steps into the storm and smiles. Because you've been through worse. Because you've bled before and kept walking. And here's what separates killers from cowards. It's not talent, it's not resources, it's not luck. It's decision. Ruthless, unwavering decision. The decision to become more. The decision to never quit. The decision to suffer, sacrifice, and survive anything thrown your way. Most people decide nothing. They float. They react. They wait. But killers move with purpose. Every action is a strike. Every day is war. They don't wait for permission. They don't ask for approval. They decide, and the universe follows. That's power. That's what makes you dangerous. Because once you decide who you are and what you're willing to endure, nothing external can break you. You become inevitable. You walk into every room with a presence that says, "I've already decided to win. Try stopping me." And that kind of energy can't be faked. It's earned through grind, through resilience, through total commitment. People are obsessed with motivation, with tricks and hacks, with waiting for the perfect moment. But motivation is temporary. Decision is permanent. The ones who build empires, the ones who become untouchable, they don't rely on feelings. They rely on decisions. They wake up and move forward regardless. The alarm doesn't decide. The weather doesn't decide. Their pain doesn't decide. They decide. Every day, every situation, every obstacle, they move with clarity, with intention, with force. And over time, that mindset becomes a weapon. It becomes armor. The world tries to shake them, distract them, break them, but they stay locked in. Because their decision was made long before the pressure came. While others are still thinking, still doubting, still delaying, they're already executing, already winning, already dominating.